Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Nico Tortorella on talking about a brand new drink that he has out. We'll talk about his work on The Walking Dead and Younger and other series as well. After that, Lake Bell joins me to talk about The Chair Company. All that and more. Stand by. We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek and Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight, listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you are streaming us on the KTRS website or on the app, we appreciate you doing just that. And, of course, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form, then hopefully you subscribed by now. We appreciate that. If you have and left us a 5-star review on whatever platform it is that you listen to this podcast, we appreciate that. Always helps us out in search engine optimization, helps us rank a little higher. So if you have a spare 20 seconds to leave us a 5-star review, that would really make our entire year. So thank you for all of you who have already done that. I'm not in the studio today. This is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and my voice is shot from being out at Christmas traditions this past weekend, the opening weekend out there. We'll talk more about Christmas traditions here in just a little bit. And, of course, Joey V is traveling to be with family for the holiday, so it's a pre-recorded show. But, as always, I have left you a new show. These are not interviews you've heard before that I'm repackaging into a best of. This is yet another brand new radio show that I'm bringing you, and I hope you enjoy it as you're coming out of your turkey coma, or maybe you're getting ready to dive back in with those leftovers. Who knows where you are in your holiday plans, but I appreciate you spending some of the time on this Sunday night with me. A lot of fun stuff to get to, and we're going to go with that right to my first guest. Here in the KTR studios with actor, entrepreneur, songwriter, singer, poet, man of all trades. We have Nico Tortorella. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is exciting because it seems like people are looking for alternatives to booze. Like no one wants to, like millennials are drinking at record low levels. Yeah. Was this kind of inspired by that? Talk about the genesis of the idea.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the numbers, younger generations aren't drinking as much as we were when we were growing up. And people are looking for those alternatives, like you said. And people are reaching for everything from nootropics and different sort of adaptogens and mushrooms and kava. And kratom is a plant that's been around for a very long time. It's a tree that comes out of Southeast Asia, historically been used for thousands of years. Farmers would take a dose before they would go work under the hot sun all day. It's a very, very productive plant. And made its way over to the States early 2000s, and it's been a steady burn here. And I mean, the kratom industry is going to do almost $3 billion in the United States this year. And it's still one of these plants that lives in the shadows. Unless you know someone that uses it regularly, for the most part, the majority of people that I talk to have no idea what this plant is. And yeah, I mean, I grew up in a bar in Chicago. My family owned a couple bars and been around alcohol my whole life. And you know, I've spent some years in the Hollywoods of the world. Sure. And I got sober from alcohol 10 years ago and found this plant pretty shortly after and really found a friend in a leaf. And I know that sounds wild, but I never understood why it wasn't marketed as a real alcohol alternative. I just saw this giant space, and I've been dreaming about this product for years. And I partnered with CBD Kratom, St. Louis local company here, MNG, CBD Kratom has a bunch of stores in St. Louis, 58 nationwide. They really do a great job of retail and also manufacturing. They make the majority of their own products. So they were already making seltzers, different Kratom beverages. I've been dreaming about a beer for 7 years, and here we are. We just launched.
What were some of the, because obviously you have an idea, you see someone you can kind of partner with and do this, but a lot of people think, oh, well, that must have been easy. I'm sure there was a lot of hurdles. What were some of the, as you're going through this process, how far back are we talking when you first started, and what were some of the big hurdles getting up to now?
Good question. Yeah, the story really started here in St. Louis. My wife is from St. Louis, down in Festus.
Okay.
So I've been coming here for 20 years. And 5-6 years ago, we were doing a Thanksgiving party, and I was picking up a big order at Whole Foods for dinner. We were hosting, and across the street was a CBD Kratom store. And I had never been in one before. And if you've ever walked inside of a CBD Kratom store, or really just any smoke shop, right? There's a certain energy to a smoke shop, and CBD Kratom is very different. I walked in and I was like, whoa, this is not like the others. And I was intrigued. They weren't doing prepackaged Kratom drinks yet. The back wall behind the counter is kind of set up like an apothecary. It's very like education forward. Everyone that works there knows what they're talking about, and they want to give you a lesson when you walk in, unlike the normal smoke shop experience, right? So I was immediately intrigued. I was already dreaming about this line of products in my own head, figured out how to reach out to the team over at CBD Kratom, and we've been in talks for the last few years. We had an amazing breakfast at the Shack maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and have kept this conversation alive. And actually last year, at the same time around Thanksgiving, we really hit the ground running and have been developing the very first of its kind Kratom brewski.
And we just had the party here in St. Louis. You said Black Wednesday, which I've not used that term before. I'm going to start using that now, so thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're doing a tour, because I saw on your Instagram account, by the way, it's on Instagram. It's Nico Tortorella, all one word. We'll have a link to that if you're listening to this in the podcast form. Scroll down to the bottom of the page in the show notes, and we'll have a link to that there. But this tour you're doing, how has it been going? Is it a grueling thing to hit city by city, and you're basically selling your brand and putting it out there? What are some of the how has the reception been, and what have been some of your experiences?
Yeah, I'm an actor first, so the carny life is not new to me, right? We are very used to throwing up a tent in a random city and, making some magic. So this is a new job for me. I've never launched consumer product like this before. The beverage space is thick. There are a lot of people in the game. I've been doing trade shows and different events, and we just launched a couple months ago. So we're relatively brand new out in the market. But I'm having a blast. I was made for this, there is a character that I've built around this drink, right? I get to put on the outfits. I show up to parties and trade shows, and I get to sell myself and this product. And it's a lot more than just selling a drink, right? The goal here was to rebrand a plant. It is an uphill battle with Kratom. It is a wildly misunderstood plant legally across the country. Across the world, it gets complicated, right? And I really wanted to approach this, like I said, as a rebrand for the plant. But yeah, the party here in St. Louis has been great. We were up in St. Charles, fast growing town. That's St.
No
Charles.
kidding. My gosh.
Dang, it did not look like that 20 years ago.
Every time I go out there's something new.
Something new. No, it was cool. The turnout was great. We had some great food there. We play beer pong at a lot of these events because it is, the first Kratom brewski, beer, right? And the beer pong energy just lends itself really well to the aesthetic and the vibe that we're trying to create. Our tagline is "Welcome to the party," and that's really what it's about. I want to make this plant social, bring it out of the shadows, and introduce it to the world in a brand new way that's digestible. Everyone drinks beer, especially here in St. Louis.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
This is the beer capital of the world. I'll give it to you guys. I'm from Chicago, but St. Louis is the beer capital of the world, right? And to put it in a package that's recognizable, that's digestible, right? You know what this should taste like. You know what it looks like, what it smells like. That's never been done for Kratom, and it's really important. I really wanted to lean into like late 90s, early 2000s beer culture, real Americana, a little bit, like silly, and dare I say, like a little dumb, right? Like that was the vibe here. I grew up drinking beer, and post-seltzer boom in the United States, beer culture's kind of gone away.
Yeah.
You know, I think
we don't have Zima anymore.
No more Zima, right? And the number one beer in the country is Mick Ultra Light. Like, how did we get here? You know, I mean, God bless Mick Ultra.
Sure,
there's a time and place for sure, right? But there's a huge white space, and I wanted to fill it with a brand new product.
And I did look at your Instagram, the stuff you've been doing. One of your posts, you even said, hey, the space looks a little different than it used to.
Yeah.
And you and your career have gone through so many different phases between starting as a model with Ford, I believe, assigned very early on, doing acting. When I posted on my own personal page, I was going to have you on and interview you. They're like, I loved him from younger. Oh, my gosh, from The Walking Dead. Yeah. So all these people know you from all these different projects. And obviously you released your album. And now this. It has been very, not a straight line, I guess. So how would you describe your journey?
Yeah, I think you said it really well. I have always done a lot of different things. I could never really focus on just one medium. You know, I grew up on stage in Chicago. I was a hockey player first. The first time I was on a stage, I knew this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I grew up doing professional theater in the city in Chicago. Moved to LA when I was 18, 19, and started working. That's when I got a modeling agent, and my sister agency in Chicago hooked me up with an acting agent in LA, and I've been very fortunate, right? This was a time pre-social media, so the game was a lot different than it is now.
Totally.
And I've worked pretty consistently for the last 20 years. And, you know, I'm used to playing different characters and building a human from the ground up, right? And in a lot of ways, this is similar, and it feels like the truest version of me because I'm not hiding behind anything, right?
Yeah. I want to mention, because I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, playing Felix, and you were kind of at the tail end of because they had the different spinoffs. They'd Fear the Walking Dead, then came your spinoff, and I noticed I hadn't really thought about it, but it dropped during COVID. So you're on a show about an apocalypse during a pandemic. That had to have been such a surreal experience filming those episodes and that series. And we're going to talk about that experience, filming a apocalyptic series during a global pandemic. We're going to talk more with Nico when we come back. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
I'm Sean Gunn. You may know me as G.I. Robot, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. I want to make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor. That, of course, is Bugs Comics and Games. Maybe you are looking to get back into it. Maybe you've seen Creature Commandos, James Gunn's famous animated piece on HBO Max, and Sean Gunn, obviously, the voice of G.I. Robot on that. Or maybe you've seen the new Superman movie. Maybe you're hyped for all the upcoming stuff from Marvel, and you're like, hey, I used to collect these. I want to get back into it. Go see Larry out in O'Fallon on Bryan Road. In O'Fallon, right there off of either Highway 70 or from Highway 364. You can catch Bryan Road. Pop out there. I love going to comic book stores. I love it. You go in there and you get to dig through the boxes of back issues or flip through the new comics that are on. And sometimes you look at those, because I usually go in, and I'll be honest, I get my Spider-Man, my Hulk, my Batman, and I'll still go over and flip through the comics on the rack and be like, oh, you know what? This is a really cool cover. That's how I discovered Mark Spears, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite new cover artists in general. But if you saw my recent post on Instagram, he did this really cool variant cover for Detective Comics 1102. I never would have known about Mark Spears had I not been browsing the other comics on the new comic book rack at Bugs Comics and Games. And the back issues, I've said before so many times, it's not a comic book store if they don't have back issues. They might have new issues, cool, but I want to dig through the box. I want to see the Silver Age, the Golden Age, the Copper Age, the Bronze Age, all these other old comic books, and kind of like, oh gosh, how cool is this? He had a big 50% off sale this past weekend. Hopefully you got out there to pick up some cool stuff. I know I did. I showed up with my nephews as well, and they had a good time. So if you haven't been out there lately, the sale's over, but that doesn't mean you can't still save some money at Bugs. Tell them you want to join the Avengers Club. That way you start saving money on your weekly books. You pick up your stuff, you save your money. That way you're not spending a bunch of money in this hobby. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm saving money by joining the Avengers Club. And start a pull list. That way you never miss an issue. Whatever it is you're looking for, ask Larry. He's out there all the time. Bugs, comics, and games. He's like having your own personal comic concierge. Check him out on Instagram, Bugs Comics, AND Games, and on Facebook.com/Bugs Comics and Games. Give his page a like there as well. Make sure you go out and check out the store. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Before we took that last break, we were talking with actor Nico Tortorella about his new energy drink, Der, D-E-R, and we're asking him about some of his acting things. And one of the things I had to ask, being on Walking Dead, you're filming this apocalyptic storyline, and a big worldwide virus breaks out, a pandemic. Had to have been pretty surreal. So, I had to ask him about that.
Well, we shot 2 seasons, okay? And the first season we were in Richmond, Virginia, awesome town, was pre-COVID, okay? Then COVID hit in between season 1 and 2.
Right.
So I've spent 6-8 months of my life living in this post-apocalyptic, zombie-filled world. Then our reality shuts down. Like the art imitating the life of it all was surreal. And then we went back to Richmond to film the second season. And I mean, the whole world shut down, right?
Yeah.
But the industry became almost unrecognizable. The rules and regulations, there was no time for rehearsal. You would have to wear a mask to go rehearse a scene, and TV moves really fast.
Sure.
So, so you have to make a decision, stick with it, and go for it. And you couldn't see the other actor's face before the cameras were rolling. So it was a very, I'm so grateful that it all happened while I was shooting The Walking Dead, because it really lended itself to the energy of the show. But it's wild.
Yeah. What do you get recognized the most for when you're out and about? Like I said, with my own personal page, people listed 3 or 4 projects. Yeah. Is it the ones you've had the most longevity on, or is it like those characters that really just hit, even if it was a one-off character or something like that?
Yeah, it's a cool thing. Depending on where I am, right, it's different. I would say, especially now, Younger has had such a huge resurgence on Netflix. I mean, it has broken records on Netflix and has garnered a whole new audience. So that's definitely what I'm most recognized for. But I've done a lot of like really strange niche things too that people clock. And I'm an author, right? I've written books, and some people recognize me from that. And your children's book changed my life, or it's just cool. It's cool to know and to witness. Sometimes it's hard to see because I'm in it all the time, but when I'm able to take a step back and see all that I've accomplished in my 37 years, and I feel like I'm just getting started. You know? But the most important role has been playing dad for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, I'm sure that I've every actor I've heard and have talked to, they said, boy, once you have a kid, changes your perspective on everything, especially if you're in Hollywood, because it's like it's a total 360 or 180, I guess, world shift wise.
It's just everything. I mean, I don't know what I did with all of my time before I had kids, but it's something my wife and I have been dreaming about for pretty much 2 decades. And it took us a little bit to get our daughter. And now we have 2 and hopefully working on more. And it's the greatest thing in the world. I can't imagine any life without being dad right now.
And you don't have to answer this if you want to. Have you set a limit? Like, we want 5 kids and we're stopping. We want, is there?
No, I mean, it's I see 4, but I'm open to more.
Okay.
I don't feel like people have large families anymore.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
But we'll take as many as we can get, as many that God wants to gift us with. We are open to the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to bring it back to Der, I'm very curious because people, there's CBD drinks. There's ones that are unspiked. People are looking for alternatives to alcohol. So if people are listening to this and they think Kratom, is that a cannabis type? Is it an energy drink? How is that going to affect me if I don't drink a lot of sugar, or if I don't drink a lot of this, or I'm not alcohol? What is this comparable to, and what should people expect when they crack one open?
Great question. it's very natural that you would first compare it to cannabis because they're usually sold in the same stores, right? Our store is called CBD Kratom. It's literally in the title of the store. Two very different plants. Kratom is a tree out of Southeast Asia. Cannabis is a weed, really. Right? Like that's what it is. They do totally different things to your brain chemistry. In Kratom itself, there are over 40 alkaloids. So if you compare it to cannabis for a second, what makes up the cannabis plant are a bunch of different cannabinoids, THC, CBD, CBG. Each one reacts with the brain a little bit differently. In Kratom, similarly, there's alkaloids that do different things. And a full spectrum, full plant experience on Kratom, which is how it's been used since the beginning of time, is self-regulating. So it reacts with your brain chemistry in a way where it knows when to max out. There's like a nice little balance that happens between all the alkaloids. All of that is very fancy verbiage to say it's a fun drink. This dose is really small. 30 milligrams is very, very low. It was important to me to come out with an entry-level Kratom beverage, a light beer. People know alcohol by volume, right? ABV. Dosing in Kratom is a little bit more complicated. There's no universal language for what you should take, what you shouldn't. Different brands use different words. There's pills, there's powders, there's extract shots. And now the big conversation is there is a synthetic alkaloid called 7-OH that's hit the market that's really kind of disrupted the whole scene and given Kratom not the best reputation as of now, and it's really stirring things up, right?
Yeah.
We are not 7-OH. The company I work with, CBD Kratom, we've never sold 7-OH. There's a place for 7-OH, right? I think that conversations around regulation need to be had in a very meaningful way, but important to note, we are not a 7-OH product. Dur is a full spectrum, full plant experience. And it's a real magical plant. It does different things in different doses. So at a low dose of Kratom, what we have in this can, it may promote a little bit elevation, energy. I like to say it's like an extra breath. And then when you get into higher doses of Kratom, it kind of goes the opposite way. It becomes more calming and, is better for sleep. But I think we should just open up a can so you can get the full experience here, right?
Yeah.
Do you want one too?
I would love to try one, yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll get the full flavor experience.
I'll do it just in case the managers are listening. We're doing this away from the microphone.
Away from the microphone. But hold on, just the sound of it though. It's got a nice head on it. Carbonation is solid.
It's got almost a botanical type of aroma just right as soon as you open it up.
You get the hops in the nose right away. I didn't want to make a beer that was overwhelming, right? I wanted a super light, crisp, crushable beer. You pick up a 4-pack, you can take it to the party, you can spend your night sipping, right?
Yeah.
But hops forward. We got a little bit of grapefruit extract in there.
Might be what I'm smelling.
The citrus note.
Yeah.
It really takes it home. And then super low dose, full spectrum Kratom extract. That's it. 0 carbs, less than 10 calories, no sugar. I mean, this is guilt-free all day.
Yeah, and it's not like some... full transparency, I think anyone who listens to my show knows I'm not a beer guy.
I got you.
This doesn't taste like a beer, though, right when you first take that first sip. This is just like, it's very refreshing. Yeah. It's very light on the palate. So I think beer drinkers will like that sensation.
Yeah.
But it's not terribly beer flavored, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. It's not the full beer experience.
Right.
And look, I mean, the beer connoisseur would pick up any light beer and be like, this isn't beer, right? But I have a lot of people in my life that don't like beer, that have tasted this and it's like, you know what? This is actually really good. Because you're right. It is botanical. It's fresh. It's crisp. It's just, I don't know. I think we hit the nail on the head with the flavor profile.
And I love the fact that we mentioned DER, and I was saying it DER. It is an acronym for drink, enjoy, repeat, right?
The name came first in a dream, actually. I had, this epic saga of a dream. The can looked exactly like this. There was a whole story behind it, the different people that were drinking it. I woke up at 4:00 in the morning and started writing all this down and texting different people on my team. It's called DER. This is what it looks like. This is what it tastes like. And the acronym came afterwards, the DER. Okay, what can that stand for? Drink, enjoy, repeat. Bam, we got a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's fun that you're going around to cities and doing these. I'm assuming each city, like you mentioned, St. Louis is a beer city.
Yeah.
Have different cities caused you to kind of tweak the way you present it at each location?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had lots of conversations. We've done New York, we've done Chicago. Out of the three, St. Louis and Chicago are more beer-centric than New York City is, right? So how do you tweak the conversation for New York? But our other stores are also in Philly. We have a bunch in Texas, in Houston, and Dallas. And the plan is to take this beer out on the road. And, into the wholesale market. Ideally, there are still a few states that Kratom is not legal in, but the rest of them, we're going to try to hit them all.
So that was my next question. Obviously, this is a 21 and up beverage.
This is very important.
Yeah, I want to make sure that people are listening like, oh, there's no alcohol? I can get this. No, you still need to show an ID, kids, for those of you listening. But this is your first one. I'm assuming, just from our conversation so far, the ideas are already flying. What if we did this kind of a flavor? What if we did this type of packaging? What if we did? So can you give us kind of a preview of coming attractions for Dur?
Yeah, for sure. I've always imagined a line of drinks similar to the delineation of alcohol and how it's presented. What does a beer look like? What does a wine look like? What does a liquor look like? I think it's really important that we focus on this first SKU, really make a name for itself. This is Dur, present it to the world, become familiar with it, and go from there. I think the sky's the limit, and the team that I work with over at CBD Kratom has done so many different things and are open to trying new options out and pushing boundaries. The Kratom conversation is definitely an uphill battle. I've said it before, and I'll say it on every radio interview that I do. So we got a lot of work to do, but yeah, I'm excited about the future.
And again, we can send people to there were a couple different websites to send people to if they want to find out more about the beverage itself.
And our Instagram for the beverage is at Drink Enjoy Repeat. No periods, no underscores, just at Drink Enjoy Repeat. My Instagram's at Nico Tortorella. Yeah, we've got websites and all the good stuff.
Yeah, there's shopcbdkratom.com. Again, if you're hearing this in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page and we'll have a link to that as well. 44 states so far. Any hurdles? Obviously, you'd love to be in all 50 states.
Yeah, we'd love to be. Look, there's hurdles at every which way you look with Kratom, but we are making progress. The world is opening up to a plant that has been wildly misunderstood, and I feel like I'm a student and a steward to this plant. We are in a symbiotic relationship at this point, right? We are hand in hand figuring it out.
And then, not that you're not busy enough doing everything, but I'm assuming eyes on an international market. You said the plant's from Southeast Asia. I assume that would be a very easy market to get into.
Actually, in Southeast Asia, the laws around Kratom are pretty complicated too. Yeah, it's strange. It's a strange plant out in the world. But yeah, I would love to show up everywhere that we can and come out with new products and just keep pushing Dur.
Yeah. And it's fantastic that you're able to come in here. We're in the KTRS studios here. So if you have any questions, again, the website, shopcbdkratom.com, on Instagram, at Drink Enjoy Repeat. And then obviously you can look for Nico on nicotortorella.com. No, I'm sorry, the Instagram, all one word. I think I need a little bit more of these, a little bit more Kratom drinks, right? Thank you.
And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm definitely down to chat. There's a lot of education that needs to go into this, and I'm an open book. So let's talk Kratom.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming in the studio today, and continued success to you. Hopefully we can have you back for whatever the next packaged event is when you come back through.
We'll be spending a lot of time in St. Louis. This is home base for us, so
Perfect.
I'll be back. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There he goes. There was a lot of fun, and like I said, they had the party on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We were able to pop out there, check out the shop. Very cool store. Learned a lot of stuff and just had a good time. So if you have any other questions, like I said, we gave out the websites and Nico's Instagram. He's very accessible there too. So if you get a chance to check it out, DER, get it where beverages are sold. We're going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back in just a moment. My interview with Lake Bell, talking about her new HBO series, The Chair Company. We get into some other stuff, too, of course. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
This is Arthur Burkhart, an actor from your past, and you're listening to a great show, Geek to Me Radio. Stay tuned.
Bit of nostalgia there with the voice of our friend Arthur Burkhart. Obviously voiced Destro in G.I. Joe, Turbo and Copter in GoBots, so many more between his voices in Disney and Warner Brothers and all the other stuff he's worked on. Fantastic guy, Arthur Burkhart. Another fantastic place, if you want to check it out and have some fun, would be St. Charles. Old Town St. Charles, right there along Main Street, because guess what? As of this weekend, their Christmas season is officially open. The 51st season of Christmas Traditions went off with a bang this past weekend. Had some very interesting weather, but a lot of smiling faces, and we had a lot of people out there for it. It was a great crowd. It's one of those things you don't see every day. You don't get to go out and interact with international gift givers like Père Noël and St. Nicholas, like literally the Greek bishop St. Nicholas is out there. We've got Père Noël from France, Father Christmas from England, and so many more. You can talk to a whole Dickens cast. They have on Wednesday nights their Christmas Carol Stroll. You start at one end of the street. You work your way down the street, and as you go through the story of a Christmas Carol. You start out meeting young Ebenezer Scrooge and his sister Belle. You go through his engagement and calling it off, and you meet the Fezziwigs and you get to party with them. That's a lot of fun. You work your way all through. You see all the ghosts. You'll see Jacob Marley with his chains dragging. You'll see the ghost of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. International, or not international, but they have the Dickensian toy makers with toys from the period. It's just a great time to get out there on the cobblestone streets. That's coming up on Wednesday if you're looking for something to do, and that's every Wednesday. Friday nights are Krampusnacht, so you go out there where the train depot is. That's normally where Santa is set up on the weekends. On Friday nights, Krampus takes over, and you get to interact with Krampus and the Kalikanseroi and the Mary Lloyd and Grilla and all the kooky, wacko people who come out for Krampusnacht out there on the depot. It's a lot of fun. Think merry, not scary. It's something you can take the kids to, and the kids will get a kick out of it as well. It's a lot of fun. Get your picture taken with Krampus. A little something different at Christmas time, and it's a lot of fun. The entire area in St. Charles is great between the restaurants, the shops. Boy, you want to get a nice Christmas present for somebody? Check out the Cozy Shop. Check out First Capital Trading, Inc. Go to the little hot sauce place that's right there just as South Main becomes North Main. They have all sorts of fantastic hot sauces. They've got one from Fallout. So if you're a fan of the video game series Fallout or the new Amazon series, they have a Fallout-themed hot sauce that's really good. Just all these restaurants and shops, it's amazing. Go check it out. Spend Christmas. Don't do it at the mall or a big box store. Go out and have some fun. Make some memories with your family and friends. Check out the website to plan your trip, discoverstcharles.com. Again, the website, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say here, it's an historically good time. My next interview, I was so excited to catch this one. I'm a big fan of the many projects she's been in. And, of course, as a DC Comics guy, I caught Harlequin when it first came out on the DC Universe. Later switched to HBO Max when it all got rolled in. I'm a little salty about that still. They got rid of the DC Universe. I was quite enjoying it. But Harlequin came out of that, and Lake Bell voiced Poison Ivy in that series. She's in the new HBO Max series, The Chair Company, which has just finished its first season tonight. You may have already caught the season finale. If so, no spoilers here. If you haven't caught it, that's fine. But here's my interview with the one and only Lake Bell.
Right now we're talking with writer, director, actor Lake Bell, The Chair Company, which has taken the country by storm on HBO Max. It's got the season finale dropping earlier today on Sunday. Lake, thanks for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Of course. It's amazing that, those shows that enter the zeitgeist with just the fire hose of content we consume nowadays, that certain shows stand out in the crowd still. And the Chair Company is one that everyone's talking about. Talk a little bit about becoming attached to this project, if you could.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is, I'm super jazzed on it. Getting involved, I think, I had heard, certainly I had watched, I Think You Should Leave. So I knew Tim Robinson and Detroiters. I love Detroiters that he did as well, with Sam Richardson. So he had already been on my radar. And I obviously, historically, have worked with HBO with How to Make It in America. So I felt really excited when I heard about the project, and then kind of, I clamored to get in the mix on it. So when I heard about Barb, this kind of yin to the Ron Trosper yang, it was really, really exciting to me to be a part of a comedy troupe that is very different and subversive than I had ever sort of gotten to play in.
And the family dynamic between Barb and Ron and the kids, was that a hard process to find the kids for the family? Were there chemistry reads? How did that come about? Because it seems like when you're watching this, that you guys have just been a family for years.
I know. It's really interesting. The way that those guys work, Zach Cannon and Tim Robinson, is like we don't rehearse a lot. We do a table read, but then we don't do we don't rehearse. So they like the spontaneity and the kind of newness of a scene unfurling, which I really do respect. And everyone's so professional. So it's like, you come, your words, and then we kind of just, that's what we do as performers, right? And actors, we just kind of like show up, and it's as if we've been a family for 20 years. It's like, and it's a wild thing, but it is kind of part of the magic sauce of what it is to be an actor. And, Sophia Lillis and Will Price, the people who play my kids, and, obviously Tim, we're all professionals, and it feels really, it felt really like the chemistry was just there right away.
And I'm very curious about your origin story, because your mother owns a design firm, your father's a real estate developer. So it's not like you went into the family business. Do you remember the first project that you saw, or the first something that you consumed that's like, this is what I want to do with my life? I want to act, I want to write, I want to direct. Do you remember when that moment hit you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was a really precocious little girl who constantly was trying to perform for my family. I knew vaguely that there was a job you could do that made people laugh, that you could create characters. I was like, that job is the job that I'm going to have. And I remember hearing about being an actor, and I was like, yes, me do this, So that was it. I mean, even as a little kid, I was doing something called the Late Late Show, which was a procrastination tool, because I never wanted to go to sleep. I'm a night owl to this day. And I would do these sketches and characterizations and all these things to make all the adults laugh, even though they're like, all right, Lake, it's time to go to bed. And I'm like, but what about this? So that was going on at an early age. And so, yeah, I'd been writing since I was a little girl, and didn't really think about parlaying that into actual sort of creating screenplay and whatnot until later in life. But I think, character has always come to me from different forms and different angles, whether it's playing them and embodying character, or whether it's crafting a narrative myself,
And I mentioned in the beginning, writer, director, actor. You wrote and directed Worst Enemy and In a World. Do you find that when you're doing all three, obviously, I assume, hey, I've got complete control of this, I know the whole process. Is it, after working all those different muscles, is it easier, or is it sometimes harder to just sit back and say, yeah, today I'm just acting?
You know what? It is. It's really nice. I get to just go up and concentrate on my character and the relationships that I'm crafting between other characters and be a support to a comedic team that I believe in. It feels good. Yes. And that's how I've always learned how to grow as a writer director, is to be on other people's sets, see how they run it, see how they sort of navigate the creative process. That's a huge education unto itself.
And with HBO's The Chair Company, we just said the season finale. Season 2 was already announced. What do you know? Was there, obviously every show hopes to get renewed, but with the season finale, did they know when they shot that originally that it was going to get picked up again? Or were there some, can you say about anything? Were there some things that we needed to reshoot? Was it going to end and wrap up neatly, and now you needed to kind of leave some threads dangling? Can you talk a little bit about what we can see in the season finale?
Well, I can tell you that we did not know, if we were going to get picked up. That said, usually as you write a season, you just write it with the hope that, that it will dangle, like you write with the dangle, and you hope for the best. So we wrote it, or rather, Zach and Tim wrote it, with that kind of cliffhanging element, and in hopes for a season 2, and we got one. So it's thrilling.
With going back to your start in acting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ER was your first on-camera job going all the way back. And it's such an iconic show. And you've worked on all these great shows. Like, one of my favorites was New Girl. But then these big feature films like No Escape, which I was on the edge of my seat that entire movie. Do you have a preference? Do you feel more comfortable when you're on a movie set versus I'm just going in for a TV thing? Do you have a kind of as an actor, a preference, or do you feel more comfortable with one over the other?
Yeah, I mean, coming into a TV show and just doing a little stint is just usually because a friend has asked me to do it, and it's just fun and joyous for that reason. But being on a movie is, you really get to dig deep and kind of, spread out in a character a little bit. And that feels, as a creative, that feels very satisfying. And so I'm always sort of grasping to feel that feeling again,
Yeah.
And I think that's why I write so much, because I'm writing characters that I want to play, I feel it, and I I genuinely love world building, and it's like with my dad and my mom, who, my dad is a real estate developer, my mom's a designer, and in a way that's all just writing and directing, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It's world building. It's crafting things together. It's, you just have to add the feeling and the emotion, and I'm all about that stuff. So it makes a lot of sense for me.
And one of the other hats we should mention that you wear is voice actor. You've done so many different amazing projects. Did you expect Harley Quinn to catch on the way it did? It's kind of a departure from what people are used to with the DC Comics universe, but you playing Poison Ivy opposite Haley's Harley just seemed like it caught fire immediately. Were you expecting that reaction?
Yeah, what's so interesting is that, not dissimilar from The Chair Company, it's also another show that's subverting a genre,
Yeah.
So Harley Quinn, as an animated series and playing Poison Ivy, of course, the way that they have crafted that show is it's so funny. It's so naughty. It's irreverent, and it kind of shakes up characters and really pushes the envelope with characters that we've become so familiar with. And I think for that reason, I think people really enjoy a fresh voice,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things too. I'm wondering, when that was being recorded, voice acting changed quite a bit, certainly during COVID, because you used to come in, you'd have the whole ensemble and you're doing almost like a radio play. Now that's not the case anymore. Did it start out that way when you were doing Harley Quinn, or was that, COVID changed things and now we're recording on our own?
It's a good question. I mean, I feel like over the years of doing voiceover work, I do find myself alone in the booth, with Harley Quinn, it was only the pilot, like the first episode, I think, that me and Kaylee Cuoco were together doing, getting to play off of each other. But from that point on, from those episodes, we've been doing it for years now. We're alone in the booth improvising with ourselves. Sometimes we get a recording of the other person so that we can improvise against what a previous record was. But it is, it's sort of this unusual set of skills that you get to kind of make conversation alone with yourself in a booth. Like, it's bizarre, but yeah, I do that for everything that even like Secret Life of Pets, it's like I've done 2 films with Illumination, that and playing Chloe the cat, and it's just like, you're just kind of alone in there. But I am, basically all adults are just, I tell my kids this, I'm like, we're just kids that just are in bigger bodies. And my job is really just very childlike in that way. And so it's just kind of very playful and silly to be in a booth on your own, and just kind of just make believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's you never grow up in that aspect of it because you just get to constantly play. It must be lovely to be able to have that. And
yes, it is actually. And I'm always like, if we can all as adults find places, if that's not what your job is, just find places to be really playful and silly. And yes, and watching shows like this makes you giggle like silly, and that's great. But
yeah, and then very quickly, I got to mention, since we mentioned Poison Ivy, we also have to mention Black Widow, the Marvel side of the coin. 2012, you got to do it on Robot Chicken, and then here we are a decade later, and you are doing it in the What If series. Do you feel like Robot Chicken kind of prepared you to go in for the Black Widow and What If?
You know what? Like, it's really cool playing Black Widow, because I think, people, definitely fans of Marvel and in extension DC as well, are so committed and so loyal. And so, I'll be, at the grocery store or something, and someone's like, oh my gosh, I love your Black Widow and What If, which is just so esoteric in my opinion. But yeah, I just appreciate the commitment of those fans.
And my final question, to bring it back to Chair Company, just the humor in this, the layers that you see from the actors and that you get from the writing. There's the conspiracy theories. There's the big corporate mistrust. I kind of feel like this is the perfect time for this show to be coming out with all the conspiracy theories and corporate mistrust we're seeing. Are you getting a sense of that as well?
Yeah, I actually think that's why it has struck a chord so heavily as well. So in conjunction with it being just a really well-penned and well-assembled show, it also is kind of scratching this itch, which is the zeitgeist that, we have this undercurrent of distrust and, conspiracy, and we also fancy ourselves collectively as amateur sleuths and, private investigators because we have access to the World Wide Web.
Right.
So I do think that it kind of lines up quite perfectly with that sentiment, as you said.
Award-winning actor, director, screenwriter, Lake Bell, The Chair Company. Catch it on HBO Max. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute delight to speak with you.
Thank you so much for the support.
Of course. Take care.
There she goes. Just really cool to get to talk to her. And like I said, of course I had to talk to her about Black Widow and Poison Ivy. Come on. But yeah, if you get the chance, leave us leave us a comment on the KTRS text line. Let us know what you thought of The Chair Company. But I'm not in the studio right now at the moment. So we might get to that next time. See what you all think when I'm back in studio with you all. And Joey V is joining me on Sunday, December the 7th. And I realized as I was recording this that, gosh, I told all of you that I was going to have my interview with Victor Caroli, the narrator from the Transformers and all the other voice acting work he's done. We had a great conversation about a month ago now. It's been at least a month, maybe 2. But I thought about it, I'm like, gosh, I've got this interview with Lake Bell. It's the season finale of The Chair Company, so I need to drop that. And then we had the interview with Nico Tortorella come up. So I was like, I'll push back the Victor Crowley one. So that will be coming at some point, just didn't have it wasn't the best fit for now, especially with these 2 interviews that I got. So, and then I had one of those lucky days. I'm in the middle of going between the interviews. I finished with Lake Bell. I'm getting ready to go to my interview here came up to the studio here at KTRS with Nico, and I get a call from a number I don't recognize. I'm like, I'll let it go to voicemail. They leave a voicemail, and so I check it. It's Louise Sorel. I'd reached out to contact her because I'm a Days of Our Lives fan, and she plays Vivian Alamein on Days of Our Lives. So I thought, just as an offshoot, I'll reach out. Who knows? Because for those of you who are listening, for every guest I book on the show, every time I get a yes, I get at least 10 to 15 no's from people. Like Dick Van Dyke's turning 100 this year. He's got a new book out. I was told by his publicist he'll only do PR when he's got a book out. So, of course, I reach out to Dick Van Dyke. I mean, I would love to interview him. I got a very polite no. He's too busy. So there's 10 to 15 no's for every yes that I get. So when I got a voicemail from Vivian Alamein, I was blown away, let me tell you. With that said, we're coming to the end of the show, so next Sunday we will be back. Joey V and I will be live in studio with a brand new show for you, and I don't know who's on it yet because we're still working those details out, but it will be new, and it'll be awesome, and it'll be a lot of fun. Trust me on that. If any of you have seen any of the movies that Joey V and I recommended, you can let us know. You can always shoot me an email, geektomeradio@gmail.com. You can let us know if you've seen one of the movies that Joey V or I recommended, or if you have a guest who you think might be a good fit for the radio show, feel free to reach out. I do also want to mention 2 Rivers Comic Con, the number 2, riverscomiccon.com. Tickets are on sale now. Go buy your tickets. We've announced a few more guests last week, week before, and we've got more coming down the road. So make sure you keep up with everything there. Follow us on Instagram at 2 Rivers Comic Con as well. That's going to do it. Another show in the books. My thanks to Pete running the boards for this and keeping the show on the air. Pete, thank you so much. Thank you to Joey V for making the show sound and look as good as it does. And until next week, my friends.
That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Gotham City. Good night.